time skips. You'll love them or you hate them. More often than not, I'd say they are a very exciting time to be a part of reading a series week to week. It's a whole new refresh, the world's changing, the character designs are changing, and it's a reset of the status quo. But I'm not talking about the story implications of time skips today. That is something I would like to talk about someday. But today, I'm going to hone in on talking about the designs of the characters following a time skip. These are probably the most anticipated events in manga, if they ever happen, which honestly, in modern manga, time skips are pretty rare. They don't seem to happen a whole lot anymore, at least of the same level as, you know, say the Big Three era. But today I just want to take a look at some of the designs that have popped up over the history of manga following time skips and ask the question, are they good? So I'll be rating these on a very scientific scale of bad, mid, and good. That's it. 3 ratings. That's all I got. I'm going to be as cut and dry as I possibly can, and we'll reach a verdict on all these. Obviously, everything in this video is my own opinion. If you want to fight me in the comments about how one of these that I say is bad is actually good or mid, feel free to make your point. I would actually love to see somebody argue for something being mid instead of bad. That would be awesome. Please do that. This video won't be sectioned off in any way because I'm really not going to be talking about spoilers in any meaningful way, so don't worry about that. If you consider seeing time skip designs a spoiler or knowing that there is a time skip in a series a spoiler, maybe just skip this video, to be honest, because it's too many series being discussed in this video to really bother with any particular warnings. Just a blanket statement. There's spoilers in here for a lot of battle shonen, some seinen, some whatever. I don't know. If you know of a series that has a time skip, it might be here. Not all of them by any means. And before this even begins, be sure to let me know in the comments of any time skip designs that I didn't mention here that you love, or just your favorites in general. I'd love to hear it. Or least favorites, also that. Let's go ahead and start with Naruto, one of the most iconic time skips in manga, I would say. There are actually 2 in the series. We'll be talking about both. And this is a perfect time to talk about design changes. So I'm not going to be talking about art style shifts because there is a very clear difference between early Naruto art and, like, you know, later pre-time skip art. It just becomes a more, I suppose, like refined art style rather than like the kind of rough jagginess of the original art style, which I personally love. It is what it is. Art styles evolve. So blanket statement for this whole thing, I'm not going to be talking about design changes in that sense, only time skip design changes. So we go from the iconic OG young Team 7 to the post time skip designs, or the Shippuden designs if you're an anime watcher. And for big time skips like this, where every single character gets a new design except for like people who are already adults, I'm not going to be talking about every character, but I will at least talk about Team 7. But I will say, in general, a lot of the post-time skip designs aren't amazing. Neji comes to mind as one that I'm not really into. But as far as Team 7 goes, I think it's pretty solid. Sasuke goes through multiple outfit changes throughout his time in post-time skip world, and the final one that was settled on being like the gray or white, I don't know, high collar shirt thing with a zipper, whatever the hell it is. I think that's probably the best look. It's the most reminiscent of his pre-time skip design and the collar, but still being evolved and like fresh enough to look different. Naruto, I feel similarly. I do miss the old, you know, more like puffy jacket that he had as a kid. But I would say all 3 of these are pretty solid. Sakura is about what you'd expect, and really no complaints with her design. I think it's totally fine. So for Team 7 in particular, I will say good. I think these are pretty great designs overall. Maybe a little streamlined, yes, but that's intentional. It, you know, comes with an aging mangaka. I know Kishimoto wasn't old by any means when he wrote this, but fatigue happens and you need to simplify character designs after a certain point. But it's funny because he also overcomplicated some other designs, so I don't even know if that was really the intent or not. I just assume it is. No complaints from me on Team 7. The rest of the cast, however, very hit or miss. There are a lot of dud designs in the post-time skip land of Naruto, but it's mostly in clothing, to be fair. I think like the faces are at least fine and the hairstyles are all, but there are some that I just can't get behind. Neji and Kiba being 2 big examples. I think Kiba loses all of the swag he had as a kid, like completely. He just kind of looks like some guy now. Even Hinata, to some extent, I don't love her post-time skip design. I don't know. Kishimoto lost interest in like big coats and like puffy looking outfits in general. He made everything more like narrow and slim following the time skip, which not huge on, but you know, I guess, I'll give it a rating. Why not? The entire Konoha 12/11 as a whole, not isolating Team 7. I'd probably say mid, to be honest. Maybe controversial. I don't know. There's some great ones in there though. Shikamaru's great, very safe, but he looks good. Now Naruto, of course, does have a second time skip going into the final chapter, or, you know, the volume 73 as well, and Boruto. But Boruto is a separate thing because that also changes artists, and the way that the two artists draw the designs, it changes a lot. So again, for only Team 7, and I will actually exclusively talk about Team 7 here, I am going to definitively say just right off the bat, mid. I don't love Sasuke's design. I think that is probably the worst of the three by far. I've never liked the non-spiky hair. Naruto, contrary to popular opinion, I actually think is pretty solid, especially when drawn by Kishimoto. In the hands of Ikemoto, he just doesn't look great. It's all in the hair and the face and, you know what, actually everything. Not a great design in the hands of Ikemoto, to be honest. Kishimoto draws him great. His hair, yeah, it lost a lot of its charm, but it's also the fact that he's not wearing a headband anymore that I think takes a lot away from the design. If you put a headband on Hokage Naruto, low-key, I think he'd look great. They just don't be wearing headbands, I guess, once they become Hokage. And then Sakura looks pretty much exactly as you would expect. I have no complaints with her whatsoever. Good job on that one. Sasuke weighs the whole thing down though. It's enough to make me drop it down to mid. His clothing is cool. I like the cloak. I like the single arm. Awesome. Just that hair, man. I know it's like reminiscent of Itachi, but he doesn't have the same Itachi aura. Bleach. This is an interesting one to talk about because it actually has multiple time skips, but none of them really change the designs all that much. There is one thing I will talk about, in that the early Bleach designs are very different than how they are later. And I go back and forth on if I want to even include this because, like, yes, there is a time skip. A time skip does happen later in the series, right after the Arrancar arc, and then again, the small one for the Thousand Year Blood War. And the designs are different, but when you actually take a step back and look, the designs don't change during the time skip. It actually happens well before that. At a certain point, not the image I'm using here, this is from Thousand Year Blood War, but at a certain point in the story, they do start looking like this, just not with that clothing. It's all in the face. Their faces kind of change, the proportions and body structure of characters change just because the art style evolved. And you can't really call this a time skip design change because it just isn't one. They naturally changed this way and they carried that design into the actual time skip. So I'm just going to rule this one out, even though it is a very clear design change. I just don't think it counts personally. But what does count is the final chapter time skip, as well as the designs used in the special one-shot that released after the final chapter. So for the most part, these are pretty safe time skip designs. I think a lot of characters look pretty much the same as they did before, Orihime being a pretty key example. Like, she's definitely older looking, but it's still, I mean, that's Orihime. Ichigo is the most notable design. I mean, he is very visibly different. He has a different haircut, and his face is like noticeably more aged. The big talking point about post-time skip designs always ends up being the haircut. And this follows the trend of just cutting characters' hair. For some reason, when time skips happen, we always just gotta cut the hair. They can't have their big spiky anime hair anymore. They gotta trim it down. I don't know what it is about that and why that's such a common characteristic, but Ichigo rocks it. I gotta be honest. I really dig his post-time skip design. Obviously, we haven't seen a whole lot of it. We saw it in one chapter and then again in the one shot, so I guess 2 chapters total. But I think it's great. I really love that one. Everybody else, honestly, there's not a whole lot to note. Rukia is interesting. She's my favorite character in the whole series, if you guys didn't know. And I don't love her with long hair, but I dig the vibe, so I guess I'll give it a pass. Renji looks exactly the same. Chad grew a beard, looks great. We saw Uryu literally one single time ever, and he looks exactly the same. So, alright, I guess. Fair enough. And then, of course, most of the other captains and pre-existing characters literally do just look exactly the same, but that makes sense. They're Soul Reapers. They don't really age. But as far as all the human characters and just characters that did get a design change, I will say they are good. I think these are really solid designs overall. and I have very little to complain about. Yeah, I don't love Rukia's hair, but I see the vision. I can respect it. One Piece, one of the most controversial time skip design changes maybe of all time, primarily because of one character, and that character is Frankie. It's weird, man. It's a really weird design. It has grown on me immensely over the years. Back when this first happened, I remember absolutely hating it, but he was so much better before the time skip. This is also where I want to mention that this is where things get a little weird in this department, because the Straw Hat designs are constantly changing in terms of their clothing, but I'm trying to avoid talking about clothing if it's not a situation where they're always wearing one outfit, like Naruto characters, for example, and even Bleach so far, really. We've only seen them in one outfit each. Well, two, I guess, because I mean, casual clothes and Soul Reaper uniform. But the Straw Hats after Fishman Island wear different outfits every arc. So it's weird to just do a blanket statement on them. And I gotta at least say, the Fishman Island clothes, I don't like them for most of the characters at least. I think they're really over-designed. They have Nami just wearing a bikini top and jeans. It's like the laziest design I've ever seen in my life. You get rid of Robin's bangs until Elbaf. Oh my god. Come on, what are you doing? This is a very hard one to put a label of any kind on because they change so much. I just don't know what to say about it. I guess, oh my god, I don't know. I'm gonna be an asshole and just say mid. I'm sorry. I think they're pretty mid designs overall. Some characters like barely look different, like Sanji. Others look too different to the point where they're almost unrecognizable, like Frankie and Robin. I will say Robin, seriously. The bangs were everything. And then you get rid of it until Elbaf. Holy cow, what were you thinking, Oda? Oh my god. Then you have Chopper's iconic hat being removed. I know it's in lore, it's like under the current hat, but whatever. It's stupid as hell. I hate that. Hero Look gave him that hat, man. You think he's gonna not want to wear that all the time? Dumbest shit ever. Anyway, mid. Sorry. My Hero Academia. This is one that's been talked about a lot in recent times because of the final season of the anime finally giving us these designs animated. And honest to God, I'm just gonna say right off the bat, these are good. If I went a step beyond, I might even say great. I think this is one of the best examples of post-time skip designs in manga, and we only get them for like 2 chapters. What a crime. They're perfect. I have no notes on any character. I think they are all flawless. The main ones, I'll just kind of talk about like the main 4, quote unquote. Deku looks great. He doesn't have the shitty haircut that he had after the war, which I didn't think he would, but thank God he doesn't. He looks so much better like this. The scar is sick. His outfit when he's a hero is really great too. Bakugo's perfect, very simple, very safe, but he looks fantastic. It's not doing the weird shortening hair thing. He still has his spikes. It's like a little subdued, I guess, but it's honestly just kind of like a different style. Uraraka is a lot. It looks great. She is very great in casual clothes in particular. And by the way, blanket statement across all of these before I talk about the last character. The facial features of all of them, so good. Like they're all very visibly aged. They really do look like adults from children. Like it does, in retrospect, really make the pre-time skip designs look like children. So it's very effective in that way. And then Shoto, probably my favorite of the bunch. It's very simple again, but I just absolutely love this. His face is just so visibly like Endeavor's, and that's just so rad, man. I love to see that. And of course it makes sense. Like in the real world, of course you're gonna look more like your dad as you age, but it's not a detail you like have to get in manga form. It can very easily be ignored, but he really did like develop Endeavor's facial features, and you can really see it in his eyes, and I love his new hair. It's just perfect. He looks like a kid who had an edgy phase in high school and grew out of it and became a stand-up guy. He's awesome. I really love that design, as do I love all of the designs. Fantastic. One of the best examples I have in this video. Dragon Ball features what I would say is the most iconic time skip in manga history. And it's so iconic, it almost doesn't even feel worth it to include in this video because of course it's good. These are Dragon Ball post-time skip designs, man. They're damn near flawless. Everybody looks great. A lot of people just kind of got taller, but they look so good. Goku is flawless. It's really easy to take these designs for granted because of how just synonymous they are with pop culture in basically any country. You just know what adult Goku looks like from birth. It's like implanted in your mind. But when you really take a step back and admire it, for what it is and with the context of everything before it, it's a flawless design. He keeps his iconic hair. All of the outfits he ends up wearing throughout the series are perfect. His face, even through art style changes, looks incredible. It is a flawless design. And beyond that, one other design I just want to highlight real quick from this batch is Gohan. Obviously, we're kind of sliding the timeline here because this isn't a time skip that happens at the same time as the previous one, but most of the other characters stay the same. But Gohan is a design that's constantly evolving throughout the series, and there's 3 specific eras of him. The first being, you know, when he's very young, and he's just a little guy. It's such a perfect design. I love it so much. Then you age him up to what is for some reason called Teen Gohan, even though he's, I think, 12 or 11. Not a teen, promise you. But regardless, that's probably the most iconic design Gohan has. It is absolutely flawless. And then moving into Buu Saga, where we have actual teenage Gohan. Oh my god, it's so good. It's just absolutely perfect. You can't go wrong with this. And Gohan even has a unique example where we have 2 versions of his post-time skip design, because we also have future Gohan from future Trunks' timeline, who looks very different because of the circumstances. And that's also a flawless design, one of the best in the series, I will add. And throughout all of his iterations, it is still always recognizable as the same character. You can see a very clear path to where he started and where he ended up. And that extends into Super too, even though it's not Toriyama. But it's basically just his Buu Saga design anyways. It's hardly different. Toriyama was just such an incredible character designer, and it cannot be understated. Everything he touched was gold back in the day, man. There is also another time skip in Dragon Ball at the end of the series, and, you know, it's funny to talk about because Goku is exactly the same. He literally doesn't look different at all. But all the characters that do change, I think, are really, really great. I love how you can see the aging in their faces. Krillin got hit hard, man. Age really caught up with him. He looks very old. Videl has a really awful haircut. I can nitpick a lot here and there. Yamcha is very strange looking, but on the whole, I think they're pretty solid designs. You don't really see a whole lot of them too prominently throughout the final little part of the story, but the ones you do see, I think, are solid. I guess I'll say good, but I mean, I could even see myself saying mid, I suppose, but I think they're fine. Do a quick lightning round here, starting with Shinra from Fire Force. It's an interesting design. He kind of loses a lot of the charm he had as a kid, but in return, he kind of gains a different kind of charm that I dig. He has like a whole different vibe. I don't love his hair, but his face and clothing is really cool. I always love seeing an aged face, and that's a good example. It's very simple. It's really just, he has like crow's feet under his eyes, but it looks good. I will give this a mid though. I think the hair does detract a lot from it, but I do still dig it. Mid does not mean bad. Just in the middle of the road. It's all right. Black Clover. I love Black Clover and I love Asta, but his time skip designs, yes, there are 2. Even though it's exactly the same. I'm here on screen. You're seeing his design from the final chapter, and it is the same one as the other time skip as well. He doesn't change. And this design is so funny because he goes from a very slim body to just blowing up. Like, he has massive bulging muscles all of a sudden after the time skip, and it's hilarious. I go back and forth on this one a lot because it depends on the clothing he's wearing. I can confidently say though that the initial outfit he wore after the time skip is bad. It looked rough, but he changes clothes later and it at least evolves to mid. It's still not a great time skip design. It's very weird because like his face and height stays the same, but his muscles just change a lot, like distractingly so. And nothing on his height. I love that he's a short king. I absolutely love that, but I don't know. It looks weird, man. It just looks weird. JJK Modulo gave us some post-time skip designs of the main cast from JJK. So this is a weird one because it's not in JJK proper. The designs actually stay the same throughout the whole thing for the most part. But we do get some post-time skip designs in Modulo, and I think these are good. Yuji looks fantastic. I love the haircut so much. I just love the look on his face. It's just so perfect. It looks exactly like somebody who has been alive for far too long. Really cool stuff. Nobara looks great. It's just old grandma Nobara. Looks sick. Love the eye patch. Love the hair. Pretty much perfect. And then the only other one we really get is Wee Wee, and he is an absolute freak. I don't know what the hell happened to this kid. Not a kid anymore, evidently. But he's now just some freak grandpa that looks older than any other character we've seen, which I mean isn't a lot actually, but still, what the hell? I don't know what the hell happened to this man. I'll just say that one's bad. Why not? It's not even really bad. It's just weird. What the hell is that? Fist of the North Star is one I wanted to talk about because this is a really funny one in my opinion. So obviously Kenshiro never changes. He always remains the same exact design throughout the whole thing, even after the massive time skips. But I want to talk about Rin and Bat. So these are their initial designs, obviously. Little babies, wonderful designs. And then they grow up into adults and, you know, Rin, fine. The only recognizable part about her really is the headband, but the time skip is so severe that it doesn't, like whatever, who cares? Sure, it's fine. Like she was literally like, what, 5 or 6 or something in pre-time skip? It's unreasonable to ask for a design that makes her look more like her childhood self. And then you have Bat, which is hilarious. I guess you have the goggles are still there, but everything else, holy cow, man, he's jacked. I know he's trying to be Kenshiro, but holy shit, bro, that is insane. This is like Asta to the max. It is so funny to see this scrawny little brat turn into like a championship bodybuilder unlike anything that exists in reality. Sometimes I swear to God, he's more jacked than Kenshiro, honest to God. He just looks insane. It's the biggest biceps of all time. I don't love it. When I was reading it, it was always hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that this is Bat. I just couldn't read this and think about Bat. So for Rin, I'll say good. I think she looks good. It's just, you know, basically a different character, but it's still a good design, reminiscent enough. But Bat, I'm gonna say bad. It is so comical. I just could not see the character in this. And I know I'm not talking about characterization, I'm only talking about designs, but there's like nothing recognizable about this character at all after the time skip. He just becomes a different guy. And I know he ages, of course that's gonna happen, but I don't know. It was really hard for me to wrap my head around this one. I don't like it. The Elusive Samurai has a time skip. Tokiyuki just kind of gets taller. I don't know. It's fine. It's really hard for me to criticize this in any capacity because of how like simple and safe it is. He literally just like gets taller and gets longer hair. Mid. The Promised Neverland is an interesting one. Emma looks largely the same after the time skip. Everybody else, yeah, they're different. They're taller. They definitely look older. And like all across the board, I really don't have a lot of complaints about any of the designs. So I'll say good. Fullmetal Alchemist does have a time skip. It is pretty unremarkable though. They pretty much look exactly the same. They just kind of have like longer heads, funnily enough. And I mean, in Al's case, he was a suit of armor the whole time. So, but we did get to see his younger self, to be fair, at the end. You know, fine enough. Al's haircut's a little weird. Ed just kind of looks weird with a longer head, but I don't know, whatever. It's what they did. Mid. This isn't really a time skip, but I want to talk about it anyway. Adult Gon from Hunter x Hunter. If you know, you know. The circumstances of this are very not a time skip, but I love this design, especially in the manga. I love how he keeps his child face, but his body grows. It's such an effective design. Oh my God, one of the best of all time. Incredible. Good, for sure. Haikyuu. So this one's really difficult for me to put a label on because I don't know. It's just kind of boring. I feel like designs are like what you'd expect and not in a fun way. This is not a criticism about Haikyuu, by the way. That is literally one of the best sports manga of all time. Do not take this as like a Haikyuu hot take. I guess it is in some sense because honestly, I don't really know what people think of the post-time skip designs anyway, but whatever. Personally, I'm not a huge fan. I'm gonna say mid, I won't say bad because they're fine. They just don't really like hit for me. And overall, they're just not as fun as the pre-time skip designs. It's a very similar complaint as I had with the Naruto post-time skip designs. But whatever, what are you gonna do? Vinland Saga has what I would call the most effective time skip design change of all time. So this comes in 3 waves. You start with pre-time skip Thorfinn, obviously, and then you move into the Thorfinn that we see throughout the bulk of the slave arc, which he just looks like shit, intentionally so. And then you evolve past that and you have a complete Thorfinn, one who has completed his character arc, and it shows in his character design. Every design for Thorfinn is very intentional. It's showing a clear path of progression. And I can even break it down more than this. His design within the slave arc changes, and even after that, it just keeps evolving and reflecting the state of the character. It's beautiful. It is so incredibly well done. One of my favorite design changes of all time, just across the board, every single time it changes, and I love that. Easily good. I'm gonna end with some JoJo ones, just kind of gonna do a few ones that came to mind. There's a few more I could talk about beyond this, but I'm just gonna stick to these ones because they're the most interesting to me. Joseph is probably the most notorious one because we see him age throughout the course of 3 different parts, starting with the design change from part 2 to 3, where he is like almost unrecognizable, but it's Joseph, you know. It's a very interesting thing because he literally keeps none of his key features at all. He doesn't wear like Caesar's headband or anything, doesn't have the scarf. It's just like not Joseph. But it is him. This is such a funny one because like on paper, I feel like it should be bad, but it's hard to say it's bad because it is a good design. I like old Joseph's design. It just doesn't really read as the Joseph we knew at all. To be honest, this might be controversial, but just because of the on paper aspect of it, I'm gonna call it bad because I don't really think it's an effective design change. And I say that because also it's not trying to say that like, oh, Joseph has changed so much as a person and evolved that like his whole design has changed as well. It's a reflection of that. It's like I was just talking about with Thorfinn, like where there's a clear reason for his like massive shift in design philosophies. Here, there's no reason for it. He just looks like a different guy for no conceivable reason. I'm not saying I don't like the design, but I am saying in the context of it being a time skip design, I am calling it bad. Sorry. Then we have another time skip where we see him again even older in part 4. And looking at this as a design change from the part 3 iteration, I think this is good. It looks like an older version of that man we saw in part 3. You really can't go wrong with it. I really like his outfit. His demeanor is funny in part 4. I know I'm not talking about personalities. I keep doing it anyway though. Really can't go wrong. It's a really good design for what it is. Jotaro's a cool one because we get to see him age throughout the course of actually 4 parts, believe it or not, because he is in part 5, believe it or not, for 1 chapter and like 2 pages, I think, total, but he is there. So first of all, the design change from part 3 to 4. I absolutely love his part 4 design. Unlike Joseph, I think this is a very effective way to show how this character has changed. He's no longer the teenager we saw in part 3. He's an adult now. He has a career. He's more refined and mature, and that's reflected in his clothing as well. It's not like school delinquent clothing anymore. It's a similar style of outfit just to keep the recognizability of the character, but it's the same clothing in a different context, which is cool. And, you know, changing it to white in the color version helps too. But even without color, I think it's very clearly communicated. Part 5, I mean, I don't really have a whole lot to say about the part 5 design, to be honest. I just wanted to include it to remind people that he was in part 5 for a second. It's pretty much the same as part 4, just like a little different. I really don't have anything to say about it. Mid, I guess. And then we move on to part 6, where he's a father now. We have Dad Jotaro. And once again, I think this is a really good design. It still looks like the character. There's some changes in the facial structure this time around, but that's natural. He's aging. His jacket's great. I love just like the basically plain white t-shirt with the star on it. I love that so much. It's very simple, but I just adore it. The hat's cool. It still has the weird hair hat thing that's just synonymous with the character. The pants are a bit much, admittedly, but I dig it. And I also love how the clothing gives like little references to his career as a marine biologist. Just fun. Definitely good in my eyes. And then one last little JoJo one I wanted to talk about was Polnareff, because this is a very interesting one. He goes from this stunning, beautiful specimen of a Frenchman and turns into this. My poor boy. Not saying it's a bad design, it's just kind of sad. Like, it just shows what a miserable time this man has had after the events of part 3. And it really just genuinely makes me sad to look at. And then after that, he becomes a turtle. What did our poor boy do to deserve this? Oh my God. Polnareff, no, man. It's so tragic. I hate it because of how sad it makes me. It is a really cool design though. I dig the wheelchair and like robotic legs that evidently don't enable him to walk. I guess they're just kind of artificial legs. So I'm gonna call this one good as well, even though it makes me horribly sad. All right, guys, that's all the designs I wanted to talk about. Make sure to comment and let me know what designs you think I should have talked about, and maybe I'll cover them in a second video at some point, who knows? And just let me know any designs that you want to tell me about. What are your favorites? What are your least favorites? I'd love to hear it. I think what's interesting about this video is the fact that post-time skip designs are often very controversial and stir up a lot of discussion, but when you're detached from them long enough and detached from the discussion in the moment long enough, I think it's interesting how, honestly, most of them are just fine. I really don't think there's any horrifically bad ones. They're definitely out there. There's some that I didn't hone in on. Like, there are a lot in the Konoha 12 that I would say are bad. But when you look at it as a group and try to view it as a whole, I think the positives outweigh the negatives. So it just depends on how much you love a character. If you're a huge Kiba fan and you get to that time skip, I'm sure you're devastated and you would probably weight it strongly in the favor of bad because of that. But the main three look great, so what are you gonna do? Thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, subscribe, and comment. And remember, you can also become a channel member at 3 tiers. You can click the join button to see what tier works best for you. You get things like early access to new videos, emotes, exclusive monthly videos, your name in the credits. And if you join the highest tier, you'll get your name read out loud right now. So thank you to DJ Tengen, Milu Kitty, Braden Farrell, Halfpipe, Rafker, The Cosmic 64, Cosmic, Key to the Skies, Iliadis, Noobs Rock, Dan, The World's Worst, Menacing Pigeon, I Am Alive I Think, Papa Aeon, Gaming Anime Addict, and BNE. Thank you all so much for your support, and thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in whatever you decide to watch next. Take it easy, guys.